Hey, welcome to another episode of Groovy Tuesday. Hope everybody's well. It's been a couple of weeks since we last got together. I'm just going to waffle for a little bit, repeat myself several times until we start to see people joining in the conversation. Hope everybody's doing okay. It has been a while, isn't it? 2 weeks. What was it? I was on holiday. Went to lovely West Wales for 2 weeks. Or should I say Wet Wales? Uh, lots and lots of rain in Wales. But I knew that because Linda often says when we chat that it's raining in Wales. But I spoke to Linda this morning and apparently they had lovely weather in her part of Wales the past 2 weeks. So maybe next year I'll have to look at South Wales rather than West Wales. So there we go. Good morning, Bonnie. Good morning, Lorraine. There you all come. Nice to see you once again. I've missed my Groovy Tuesdays. As I say, it's been 2 weeks. So I hope everyone's been behaving and keeping out of trouble. Lots have been going on whilst I've been away. So I've just had a good catch up with Barb, looking at upcoming projects for the next couple of months. So that's good. Back in the saddle, as they say. So yeah, it was a nice break. The dogs enjoyed it. They don't care whether it rained or whether it was sunny. They just enjoyed running through the woods. But yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely to be back to what did I say? Normality? Yeah, it is normality. So yeah, nice cup of coffee. So how we all been doing? Lots have been going on, hasn't it? The last couple of weeks. And we've got lots coming up as well this week. We've got Pergamano show with the lovely Tina Cox on Thursday. We'll give you more information about that later. Barb's back in the Shack on Thursday at 10 o'clock. We've got our parchment retreats coming up as well. It's just, where is it? It's a month away. More spaces available. Stuart's in the room with you today. If you have any questions, then he's there to help and pop some links up. And I can see the lovely Jane's in the room as well. And I'm sure some of our lovely, fantastic design team members are in the room as well. Yeah, I just need to get back into the flow of things. But waffle. And I know it's only just 10 o'clock. Sound is good. Thank you, Stuart. There we go. Notification from Stuart. So at least you can all hear me nice and clearly. And yeah. So there we go. Stuart's put the link into the parchment retreat. With Monday and Tuesday sold out. Wednesday and Thursday we still have some spaces available. Stuart's popped the link in for you to have a look for the product. But if you've got any questions, then you can give the lovely Janine a call. Let me just write the telephone number down for you. Where's my pen? Isn't that weird? I've forgotten the number. It's 215. There we go. So if you wanted to call the office, 01732 868 215. So if you've got any questions, if you're interested in coming along, seeing what it's all about, then you can give the lovely Janine a call and she's more than helpful. Give you all the answers and give you details of local places to stay. Yeah, it'll be a fun-filled blocks of 2 days. It's £230 for the 2-day session. And obviously, if you're a club member, you get your discounts as well. And that includes the tuition over the 2 days, plus light refreshments. We normally organise a meal on like the Monday evening and the Wednesday evening. So I'm just waiting for the hotel to send through menus. So if you have booked, keep an eye on your emails the next couple of days. So if you want to join us for a meal on any of those evenings, if you're coming along. And the projects that Linda and Josie have created are beautiful, really, really beautiful. Something a little bit different this year. So really looking forward to that. But yeah, so that's sort of, I know Barb mentioned it in the craft along on Friday evening with Linda. And wasn't that beautiful, the artwork that you created? I love that beautiful frame that went around the outside. Really, really nice. And that was from the latest Christmas Treasures release. And the next release is on, if I remember rightly, or I've not got it written down, the next release of those is Thursday the 29th of September. 5 more beautiful plates. We've just been looking at them because the designs have just been updated, and so we're just getting ready to submit the information to TV. But yeah, I think they're going to be just as popular as the previous 2 collections. And if you missed the craft along on Friday, then you can watch again on our YouTube page. I'm sure Stuart could pop a link up to that. So if you did miss out, or you're thinking, oh, what was all that about, craft along? Then you can watch it. It was real fun, lots of laughter, lots of giggling, and a beautiful project. So I think that's what was needed last week, just to sort of keep people company. And that's what it's all about, Clarity. Keeping people company, sharing our knowledge, and sort of enjoying our crafting. There we go. Stuart's popped the link up. So if you missed that, click on that link. It'll take you to all of our YouTube shows. If you missed out on any of these, then you can watch those again. So, right, where did we get to last time? We was coming to the end of the easy layouts, wasn't we? And we was looking at a back issue 65 from the Groovi Club. And we've slowly been working through and adapting the projects that, well, I've been adapting the projects that Linda created using her beautiful club plate. And we started off with this one here. So let's bring in the cards. This was a card that Linda created. And this is what sparked off the whole easy layout plate collection from Linda Williams. Because to do this, when you look at the instructions that come with the plate, you've got to create all these different sections. Barb had a conversation with Linda and said, oh, wouldn't it be great if we had plates that already had the various different layouts on, so that people could just fill it in with whatever they wanted. And that's where the easy layout plates were born, so to speak. So we took it back and we worked through this project, and here's the one that my interpretation of it. A few little tweaks compared to Linda's. I used a different border around the outside. I used our corner punches to attach. But in principle, it was the same. Linda had special Father's Day wishes. Mine just said special wishes. So we sort of adapted and sort of had a look at the overall concept of the design. Then we moved on to the second project, because with each of the club issues, you get 2 projects. Okay. And if you're thinking, oh, what's the Groovi Club all about? It's a monthly subscription that you sign up for 12 months. And every month you get a double-sided project sheet like so, step-by-step and pictorial, a list of ingredients of what's been used in the different projects, and you get the product itself. Stuart can pop the link up just in case anybody isn't aware of what our clubs are about. We do one for Groovi, we do Groovi, we do stamps, we do stencils, and we do dies. You can join 1, 2, 3, or 4, any configuration. Again, if you want some more information, then you can give Janine a call. And it's a fantastic sort of club to belong to, because every month over the 12-month period, you'll receive the project sheet, you'll receive the product, you get a fantastic newsletter from Barb. Depending on how many clubs you belong to, you'll either get 10 or 15% discount on any of your online purchases. Or if you come to any of our events, like our open days, our retreats, your club discount applies to that as well. And there's also a member sale twice a year as well. There's so many benefits just sort of all rolled into one. And I can see that Stuart's popped the link up as well. So if you're interested in finding out more about the clubs, then, I mean, even go on to Groovi Worldwide or Clarity Worldwide, ask the question there, what people think. I'm sure you'll get a very good response. It's definitely worth the money. It really is. So, so that's what we've been working towards. We've been having a look at one of the back issues, and they're available to purchase as well. So if you're thinking, oh, I like the look of this, you can go and buy back issues, even if you're not in the club. So this one is issue 65, which is the one that we've been working towards. Then the second project that Linda created was this beautiful bit. I love the sort of like just the blue and the white. For me, it doesn't require anything else. And I think that's the beauty of parchment craft. As Bob always says, it's like being on a bus journey. You can get off at whatever stop you wish. So whether you just want to do the tracing out, do it on the coloured parchment, designer parchment, or just on clear parchment. But the Groovi system gives you the confidence to want to learn more. Well, it did with me anyway. And I know for many people tuning in, it also works as well. So you'll then want to learn how to do the white work, how to do shadow embossing, how to do the colouring. And on Friday evening, there was a real sort of beautiful mix of different techniques that Linda and Barb covered, creating that project. And we've got a full library of different tips and techniques on the YouTube page as well. So maybe go spend a couple of hours on there and just see what you can sort of search for. Colouring on parchment, picot cutting. They'll all be in various different projects. So it's a full library. And you know what? It's all free. It doesn't cost anything at all. So my interpretation on the piece that Linda created, because you know I did a slight variation on the first project. So what I did, I took this lovely plate designed by Josie Davidson, and these are all embossed dots. So there's no perforating. It's just beautiful gridwork patterns that you emboss. So what I did was I took the largest one and created my frame. Okay, and then I did a little bit of picot cutting, and to do that I used the straight grid, the basic grid, to perforate in between, and then did some picot. So this is my interpretation. You can see it's a lot smaller than Linda's piece, but it's a beautiful frame if you're sort of new to it, and it's easy. There's no moving it along. It comes exactly how it is on the plate. Okay, just like so. Then we started to have a look at the design itself. And what we did was we traced out the design, the plate. Okay, there it is, just there. And then we looked at the different sort of white work techniques. Okay, because when you have a look at the piece that Linda created, let me hold this up. And it was one of the techniques that Barb covered in the previous craft along using Christmas Treasures Set 1, where you can't really see any outlines of the design. And it's all done, if I bring this up, it's all done to do with the colouring. But obviously you need to know where you're going to do the colouring. Okay, so what we did was we had a look at using the different tools to trace out the design. Okay, so let me zoom in a little bit now. Work out, see if I can remember which way to zoom in without going. Yay! There we go. Okay, we'll bring that in and then I'll just move that down so it's in the center. So we looked at the various different Groovi tools and the different effects that we would get by tracing out. So this one here uses the number 1 Groovi tool, which gives us that beautiful crisp white line. Then we traced out using the number 2 tool, and you can see it's slightly paler than number 1. And the reason for that is because the tool doesn't go into the groove so far, so therefore it's not stretching the parchment. Then we had a look at the number 3 Groovi tool, and you can see it's even fainter than number 2 and number 1. And then finally, if you've got really good eyesight and a good pair of glasses, number 4. And you can just about see, well, I can just about see the outline of the lighthouse. So it's all about having sort of choices, okay, depending on whether you want to create this beautiful effect of where you sort of, you've got the imagery, but no line art, okay. And you can see what Linda's done across here and on certain areas. You've got the crisp outline, whereas on the hills and the lighthouse itself, it's a lot softer, and it's sort of, in a way, it looks more dimensional. Okay, so we covered that by looking at the different tools when tracing out our design using the Groovi plate. Then we had a look at introducing white work, especially on the lighthouse, and depending on what size ball tool you used, where you needed to position the ball tool. Okay, because you can see here there's gaps between the solid line and where the white work starts. So we had a look at that as well, and there were some tips and tricks on that, which again I think Barb and Linda covered on Friday evening. Then once we had a look at that, we started to have a look at colouring in our design. So working on the back, we had choices. We could use pencils or we could use Perga colour pens. And there was a lot to learn from the craft along on Friday evening, where Linda was using the combination of the pencils and the pens. And then Barb was picking up like to show the difference of whether you use the blending pen to pick up the colour from the pens, like on a mix mat, or whether you go direct onto the parchment. And Linda was showing that if you go over the same area several times, especially with the darker colours, it sort of pits and it sort of breaks up the fibres of the parchment, which you don't really want. So we've always sort of been cautious of using the pens when colouring in. But the other technique that you can use, I'm just looking, let me have a look here, is using the water brushes. I'm sure I had my water brushes somewhere, but without the water. And we've covered that in several different Groovi Tuesdays as well. But for my project, what we did was we used the pencils and some Dorso oil just to sort of get going and just put our base colours down. Okay. So what we're going to need today is we're going to need our piece of artwork. We are also going to need our B pencils. So I'm going to go with some blues. So we've got 2 lovely blues in there. Maybe I'm going to go for a bit of white as well. Okay, so we're going to need those. So the colours I'm using are my B4, my B1, and my B16. Rolling off the table. See if I can get them all to B1, B16. It's always 1, and B4. Then I'm going to take some Dorso oil. It smells lovely. Dorso oil. Then I'm going to need some spot-on sponges. I've got some in my box here. There we go, spot-on sponge. And then I'm going to use my blending nibs. Okay, so I've got mine in my lovely little container ready to go. And then hopefully today what I want to do is to finish off our project, because next week we're going to be working with some different plates, and I'll talk about those a little bit later on. So I will give you a few minutes to get all your bits together. I mean, maybe in the 2 weeks I've been away, you've finished off your project and it's all done and dusted. Go on, hands up. Who's finished their project? Who's jumped ahead and done it all? Go on, let me know who's done that. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, I'll try and keep an eye out and have a look. So yeah. And then I thought what I would do, because when we started this project a couple of weeks back, we didn't have our fantastic companion papers. So let me zoom out a little bit now. There we go. So Dawn, you finished yours, have you? Is it all done and dusted? So we've got our fantastic companion papers. Absolutely beautiful, 7 different designs. And I know that there's going to be one that's going to work perfectly with my finished piece. Jill's finished hers as well. Wow, good morning, Catherine from Niagara Falls in Canada. Welcome. International. So yeah, so I know when I flick through these, there's going to be one. I mean, look at these. I mean, the blue instantly. Oh, maybe that one. That's nice. I like that color. See, and it also adds depth to the design as well. It really intensifies the coloring in. So this was from Waimea Falls, but when you see, I mean, maybe that might be a little bit too dark. Yeah, a little bit too dark. But it's a beautiful color palette of some really nice designs. Well, not designs, but just colors. And I'm sure whatever color you've chosen to color your project in, then you'll find some paper in one of these that will work beautifully. Whoops. Amazonian, Northern Light. Now, I don't have a favorite at the moment. I think they just all work beautifully within their own right. And that looks quite nice as well. But so does that, which is like a tealy color, tealy grey. But I just love, and it's really made a difference to my card making as well, to have these solid colors that stand alone, but also complement the designer papers. So that's a nice blue. I know, so many to choose from. And in addition to that, you get the lovely little companion samplers as well. So you can flick through and have a look. And these are great for sort of like instant bits of artwork. Barbara did these on the blog over the weekend, where she used those lovely stamps that we used at the retreats a couple of weeks back. But it really is hard to choose a favorite one now. Before, like with the designer papers, there's always one that you go to time and time again. But with these, that's a nice blue. I think that would be lovely. Yes, that's the one. I need to earmark that one. Toscana. That is the one that I want. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a piece, because I'll forget halfway through. Let me pop that in there so that I know that's what I want to use for my finished project. And then finally, you've got the Rainbow River as well. Really nice. Really, really nice. Right. So we're going to use one of those. I'm going to pop those to one side. And then we're going to carry on with our colouring. So I think I've waffled enough, ready for you to get all your bits and pieces. There we go. Hi, Josie. It's the first time I've seen you in the room. I'm sure you've been there all morning, but I've just seen you pop up. There is a paper that's perfect in every pad. There sure is, Jane. I know. Right. Okay. So let's have a look at the piece that, wrong camera. There we go. That Linda created for us using that plate. As I said, on my one, I've already completed all my white work. And so now I just want to introduce some colour, but I don't want to go too intense. I just want a really sort of nice, soft colour to it, just like Linda's done. So I'm going to use my B16. And it's a technique that I saw from Bubble when colouring in the Shack Shack. If you hold the pencil further along the shaft of the pencil and you hold it to the side, you'll get less pressure applied. Okay. And I'm not worried about going over the edge of those lines because I can rub it out. And I'm just using the side of the pencil to lay down some colour. Okay, now I don't want to go into the light of the lighthouse, so I'm going to pop my finger there. Okay, and that will stop the pencil going in to the lighthouse itself. Not worried about over here. I'm just worried about the lighthouse. And if I turn that round and I do the same on this side, and I know you can't really sort of see the colour going down, but it is. Okay, I'll put a piece of white paper underneath in a moment so you can see. Okay, so just a nice gentle, let me get a piece of white paper and pop that underneath. There we go. So you can see, look, it looks horrible, doesn't it? Really, see, that's the thing, when you put white behind it, it looks rubbish. And for me, the magic comes in the Dorso oil. So what we're going to do now is take my spot on sponge and I'm going to put some Dorso oil on there, just a little bit away. Oh, got carried away there, Mr. Church. Spilt it on my parchment. Not to worry, it dries and disappears. And it's a piece that we're not going to use anyway, because that's all going to be trimmed off. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a tissue or a kitchen towel. Tissue's better. I'm just having a look. I think I've got tissues in the other box. And then what we're going to do, we're going to fold it into sort of like an icing bag. So what I'm going to do now is turn it into a point. Now it's not a point. If I want a real fine detail of a point, then that's when I'll use the nibs. And what I'm going to do, rather than waste this, I'm going to pick up the oil from here. Now I know that that's going to be way too wet. Way too wet? It's going to be very wet. So I'm just going to blend it out on the scrap piece of parchment. So you can see how much oil that little drop has produced. Now all I'm going to do is work in a circular motion and just blend that colour. Okay, nice and easy. If I bring in, so you can see how it's starting to soften. And you can do this with the Dorso crayons as well. So what we're going to do, and one of the great things about this, so this is called dorsing, because we're covering a larger area really quickly. Okay. And I still haven't put any more oil on the tissue. I'll turn that round so I can go right up to the edge. And we're just gently smoothing out the grainy effect of the pencil. Okay. Has anyone else done this before? I'm sure you have. I'm sure you've given this a go, especially for larger areas of work. Okay, so now when I turn that over, see, I know it's difficult to see because it's very, very light, but if I bring that up, it's sort of, in a way, it's created sort of like natural clouds and different colors to the sky. So if I go on with the other blue, and we can put some darker blue on now. And I'm not going to put as much on, but I just want to intensify the color slightly. Okay. And obviously it's a lot easier then for you to see at home. Okay. So we've gone that, and now let's have a look. So it needs, see, it's not moving now, so I need a little bit of oil on my tissue. There we go. Can you see that? Yeah, you can really see that moving now, can't you? And as I said, I'm not worried about the colour going over the edge. That's much better. Really, really nice. So what we're doing is we're just building into the larger area. Okay. So it's a nice way of just adding colour into blocked areas. And it smells divine. It's making me feel hungry, actually. The smell of oranges from the Dorso oil. And you can do this with your polychromo pencils as well. Okay. Now, if I want to get in really, really close to those areas, then this is where the blending nibs come into play. Okay. So now I can get in really tight to the edge of the lighthouse. But what it's done, it's allowed me to apply colour to a larger area a lot more easily. So now when I bring that into play, we can see, and as I say, it's gone over the edges, but I don't mind. So let's have a look at the rest of the design. So I'm following the same principle as Linda, and I'm keeping everything in sort of the blues. So now let's put some colour. I know the sand isn't meant to be blue, but I'm going with the design. Okay, we're going to put some colour in the background, just like there, and then we'll put a little bit of colour on the cliffs, and then on this one I'm going to go, see what I've moved down to the edge of, closer to the pencil lead, and I'm now going in, and it's a lot darker than it is in the other areas. Okay, because I've moved my fingers down, which I've seen Barb do it in the shack, it reduces the pressure being applied. Okay, so we're going to go around, add a little bit more, come over the edges, just like so. Okay, so then pick up a little bit more Dorso oil, and now start to blend that colour in as well. We could have done this on blue parchment, and then you wouldn't have to worry about adding any colour. So that would have made a difference as well. The lovely blue parchment. We've got the A4 blue parchment, light blue, dark blue. There's lots of lovely different shades of blue available. So here we're just going to go in and smooth out that colourway. Very nice. It looks rubbish from the back. It really does. But we can adjust it. There we go. So what else has been going on? Let's have a slurp of coffee. So we had the craft along on Friday with Barb and Linda. So the shack is back. So Thursday, coming up this week, Thursday at 10 o'clock, Barb's back in the shack. Then Tina's on Create and Craft at 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock with the Pergamano show. Keep an eye on Barb's blog this week because there'll be some sneaky peeks of what's coming up and some artwork from the design team. Yeah, and don't forget, Tina was on Saturday. Did you see her with her lovely doodle landscapes? I'm going to digress now. These lovely doodle landscapes. And she did a project using this. I thought it was beautiful, where she created a frame around all four sides. Really, really nice. And then there was a sample created by Frances Knott, just using that. And she pico cut in between all of it. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So there's 4 different plates in the collection. And that was the one that Tina used with the other one. And that was during the 5 o'clock show on Saturday. Then the other one in the collection, so at 1 o'clock, Tina used this one. I'm sure it was this one. Yeah, it was this one. She used this one to create a really nice, lots of pico cutting on that one. But the beauty of Groovi is that you can do it all on one layer, but Tina just loves working in layers and building them up with the different color parchments. So when you watch what Tina does, you can do it all on one piece. It's just like stamping, isn't it? But yeah, so she used that one. I mean, look at these borders that the girls in the office added to the designs. And then finally, the 4th one in the collection is this one. Excuse me. So if you missed out on those, I'm sure Stuart will pop a link up to the plates that Tina was using on Saturday. But I was just looking at this actually. When you look, you could take these frames and take one of Tina's doodle frames and pop that. I mean, this one's quite nice. Look, it's like ocean swirls. See, that would look nice around the outside. Giving me some ideas, that has. And then I'm sure there'll be a border. Yeah, look at this one. That would look nice around the outside as well. So they're not, the borders have been designed that you obviously complement the designs within the plates, but also stand alone as well. See, that one would be nice along there as well. But you can put it that way, or you can pop it that way. See, that would be nice. See, and you can extend it. So if you missed out that bit, that would be really nice. So that was what Tina covered on Saturday on the Pergamano show. No, Get Groovy with Tina. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my eraser pencil So, and I need my sharpener. So, well, actually, there's one here. Barb left it here, look. E for eraser. So I'm going to use that one. So I'm going to sharpen up my eraser pencil. Okay. Put that to one side. And now I can remove the colour around the outside. Now what I could do is take my ruler and rub it like that so that I don't go into my artwork. Okay. And all we're doing now is just tidying up the edge. Okay, we're going to work around all 4 sides. And the reason I'm tidying it up, because when I cut this out, I'm going to use a craft knife and a ruler. And I want to create a little frame, maybe. Haven't decided yet. There we go. Okay, and the final 4th side. Okay. Right, okay, I think I'm happy with what I've done there. I can go back in and intensify the colour if I want to, but I'm going to leave it as it is. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're now going to sort of cut our work to size. So you've got choices. You can use a craft knife and a ruler, or you can use a paper trimmer or a guillotine. It's entirely up to you what you feel more comfortable with. So I'm going to use both just to show the difference. So if I take, let's have a look, I'm going to take, I've got a black mat here. Okay. Then I've got my Pergamano ruler that's got the Groovi grip on it. Okay, this is a lifesaver when it comes to using a craft knife on parchment. Because by positioning that like so, when I apply the pressure very lightly with my finger, the ruler's not moving, my finger's moving, but the ruler's not moving. Okay, now I'm going to take my craft knife. And if you're a bit unsure about a craft knife, there's no rules to say that you have to cut through the parchment first time you run the blade along the edge. Okay, you can just apply light pressure with the knife and just go over it in the same area several times. Okay, and then it will just gradually cut through the parchment. Okay, so we've done that one side. Now we're going to do this side. So just, I'm using the steel edge of the ruler as well. Okay. And you just keep going. And then all of a sudden, it'll fall away. So don't be scared of using a craft knife, especially if you've got the ruler with the grip on. Okay. Because it definitely, I mean, look, if I take this off, look how the ruler slips and slides. And that was why Barbara found the Groovi grip, because back in the day, I mean, I'm really going back in the day now, I did a TV show with a ruler. And what happened was I put the ruler on, and because I wanted it to cut in one go, as I came towards me, the ruler slipped and I cut into my artwork that I've been working on, which I wasn't best pleased about. So this is where the Groovi grip really does come into play. And I've also got a piece on my, because you get 2 A4 sheets, and I've got a piece on an A4 piece on my light panel as well. So it stops the plate sliding around. So there's lots of uses for it, not just for your ruler. Okay. So I've trimmed that one down now with my craft knife. So let's have a look at trimming it down now with a paper trimmer. Okay, so where have I put my paper trimmer? Okay, here it is. It's hiding. So let's pop that to one side. So now I've got my paper trimmer. I prefer a guillotine, but we all have our own choices. So let's just zoom out a little bit there. There we go. And where's my piece of artwork? Okay. So I know my paper trimmer. I know exactly where the blade's going to cut. I'm going to press down and then work my way round the outside. So it just depends what you feel more comfortable. I mean, another option would have been to use the Pico dies. And in order to do that, I would have used the Pico dies to cut my square out first before putting my artwork in place. Okay. Right. So now I've got my 2 pieces of artwork. So if I pop that on there, let's take a piece of white card and pop that behind there. Okay, so that looks nice, but obviously we can't really see the beautiful grid work we've created. So this is now where the papers come into play. So got the Toscana that we was looking at earlier, and I'm going to take a piece of this one. Let me just check first to make sure I'm still happy with that. Yeah, I like that. Okay, or do I like that one? Decisions. No, definitely that one. Okay. So I've got my piece of paper. Now what does it look like if I pop that on there and then that on there? See, that definitely intensifies the colouring on there. So I reckon I'm going to have to use another piece. Oh dear. Okay. So what we're going to do first is let's have a look and see what size this piece of parchment is. So that is 3 3/4 inches. So I want a piece of paper measuring 3 3/4 inches. So it's the same size as a piece of parchment. Okay. So that sits beautifully on top of there. Okay, I'm going to pop that to one side. Then keep these bits, don't chuck away those bits. And now if I pop this onto there, how much of a border do I want around the outside? I think that's quite nice. So this is a 7x7 piece of card. So I don't do it by eye. I sort of work out roughly. So that is about between 5 and 5 1/4 inches. So what I tend to do is pop that on like so. And then if I go, how much of a frame do I want? I reckon, yeah, let's go 6 inches. Okay, 6 inches by 6 inches. Keep all your bits and pieces. See, so that sits lovely on there. That is then going to sit on there. So let's just have a look at the difference. Let me zoom in a little bit now. So as I zoom in, here we come. There we go. Okay, so let's have a look at the difference. If I pop that like so on there, it looks nice, But if I pop that on there, it intensifies the color. Let me show you that it intensifies the color by using a piece of paper underneath. Because I know, speaking to Linda in the past, what she would remember last month when Barb did the craft along with that beautiful green Christmas treasures piece. In order to intensify the color, she put another piece of parchment underneath. But obviously parchment's not cheap. And in a way, it's a bit of a waste of parchment. So now with the papers, you can intensify the color of your parchment by using the paper instead of the parchment. Okay. And you can easily see that now when I bring that in. Okay. So what we're going to do next is we're going to attach it to our artwork. So for that, I'm going to use back of my mat. That's going to go like so. Let's pop that on there like that. There we go. And then I'm going to use my brads. So let's go for some silver brads. So I want 4. Okay, here we're going to go. Really going to go for it on this one. Let's do everything at the same time. So that goes on there. That goes on there. That goes on there. Now you can either do it all in one layer, like I'm about to do, or you could do it in 2 different pieces. It's entirely up to you. Once you've got the first one in place, it's a lot easier. Okay, so I'm going to take my 1 needle bolt. Where's that gone in? There we go. 1 needle. Going to hold everything in place. Just move that up a little bit. That's going to go there. That's like so. Dum, dum, dum. And we're going to put a brad just there. Then I'm going to push that brad, all fingers and thumbs, push that brad into the hole we've just made. He says, maybe we need to make the hole a little bit bigger because we're going through all those layers. Come on, Brad, play nicely. There we go. So that's that one in there. Make sure I'm still happy with the positioning. We're gonna just wiggle the tool around just to make the hole a little bit bigger. Take the next brad. There we go. That one's in there. So that is now nice and secure. Okay, and then we're going to come in the bottom corner. Again, give it a little wiggle just to make it the hole a little bit bigger. And then another one just there. And finally, 4th brad. Little wiggle. And then the final brad. Okay, then gently lift it off of your foam mat. Okay, so that's all now nice in place. Turn it over. I'm now working on a hard surface so that I can open it up. Open up the brads on the back. There we go. So what we've done, we've attached all our pieces of parchment and paper all together. Let's take those and pop those back in their little container so we don't lose them. Ooh. There we go. Lid back on our 1 needle bolt. And let's have a look. And then we're going to attach it to our card. And to do that, we're going to use our Clarity tape runners. These are great. Really, these are just really good. So we're going to very slowly just go down the edge. And then when you get to the edge, just tilt it forward and it gives you a nice clean break. There we go, nice along the edge and tilt. No need to race, just take it nice and slowly. And then that'll be more than sufficient for our piece of card. Place that down, make sure you're happy. And then what I'm going to do, I know that's held in place now, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to rub from the back so that my fingers don't catch any of the parchment on the front. Okay, because what you don't want to do is go like that, and your finger catches it, and then you've ripped your parchment. So this is my interpretation of the project that Linda created from one of the previous issues, number 65. So it's just about having a look at what Linda's done, what I had in my stash, what I wanted to use, using the different mediums, and to create a piece that looks the same but different. Okay, so depending on your skill levels, you can trace out this pattern without doing any picot cutting. You can trace out the design on blue parchment and then not have to worry about doing any colouring. I haven't put any sentiment on there. Maybe I could use one of our new Kiss stickers to put a little sentiment on there. So, or a little stamped sentiment. It's entirely up to you. It's all about sort of just finishing off and sort of coming up and just playing with really what you've got in your stash. And it just, I don't know, it's the same concept, the same layout, but just different levels of skill levels, depending on how far you want to take it. So if I bring those two up there, I'm going to zoom out now. Okay. And let me zoom out. So, oh, that was a little bit fast. Sorry, didn't mean to go so fast. And then we've got that piece and that piece. So I followed the same principle as Linda in relation to the layout, but I've just changed it a little bit. I've sort of, on this one, I've used my corners to attach. This one, Linda used Brad's. Linda used one of Josie's other embossed pattern plates to create the design. I used Josie's one just to give me my instant framework. So it's all about having the choice. So when you look at a piece of artwork, I mean, often you'll look at a piece of artwork on maybe Groovi Worldwide and you think, oh, I really like that, but I haven't got that plate. Have a look in your stash to see what you've got, because it's possible you may already have something but you hadn't thought about it, or ask the question, what could I use instead of such and such? And I'm sure somebody out there will say, oh, have you tried this? Or I've done something similar. So sometimes we can look at a design and say, oh, I've got to do it exactly how it is, and that's fine. There's no reason or to say, well, you can't. You've got to do your own thing. And some of us need this chair, this chair. But some of us need to actually follow it step by step. So that's why when you've got the project sheets from the various clubs, you're guided through step by step. Whether it be, some people prefer to follow more with pictures. Some people prefer to follow with words, a combination. I'm sure there's a word for the different types of learning, whether you go from pictorial or written. So it's all about sort of just having a look at what you've got, what you can come up with, what level of parching you're at to create your design. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. If you're happy with what you've done, then that's the main thing, isn't it? So, so I thought, what else have we got coming up? So we've looked at Tina's Doodle Landscapes that she had on Saturday. Thursday, Barb's back in the Shack at 10 o'clock. I'll be in the room as well. So if you've got any questions. Tina is back on Thursday straight after the Shack at 11 and 1 with 4 new reduced size plates. And then next week and the week after, for the next couple of weeks, I thought we'd have a look at some other designs by Linda Williams and have a look at Linda's Christmas tree and stocking. On Sunday, the lovely Glynis did a beautiful step-by-step on the Clarity Matters blog. Stuart will pop the link up, where she used the outline and she used one of the Christmas treasures of Bethlehem in the middle. So she used this as an aperture and then put a completely different plate in the middle. So if you want to get ahead on that, maybe you've already got these plates. We're going to start with the Christmas tree. I will find a project from one of the design team members. And then next week, we will break it down and have a look. So we've put a special price on these where I think they're $12.99 each, but you can get both for $19.99, I think it is, and you get your club discount as well. So if you've been sitting on the fence about these, then now maybe the opportunity, take advantage of the opportunity that we've put together for you. So that's what we're going to look at. We're going to start with the Christmas tree next week. And as I say, look, I mean, typical of Linda, all these different designs. We also do the card blanks, the shaped card blanks as well. One of Mr. Dave's creations with his big old platen press. So you may want to pop some of those in your basket at the same time. So it's nice to be back. Thank you once again for your company, staying with me while I've been away for the past 2 weeks. And I look forward to being in the Shack with you on Thursday with Barb. And I will see you next Tuesday for another Groovi Tuesday. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I will see you all again soon in a week's time. Take care now. Bye-bye. Oh, before I go, don't forget, if you're interested in the parchment retreat, check out the website or give Janine a call on 01732 868 215. Take care now. Bye-bye.